anyone who's now thinking about education is thinking outside the school walls.
We may well see a situation where certain year groups at certain times don't need to go to school, and so they don't.
Love it or hate it, ICT in schools is here to stay. And these 80 people are about to see some of the best practice in the country. This bus tour of England will visit schools that are pushing the boundaries of ICT. They range from small inner-city primary schools to the most futuristic school in Europe. All of them have taken on the challenge of ICT, harnessing its potential for the benefit of their schools and pupils. And all of them are keen to share their successes and lessons learned on the digital road to improvement. This tour, organised by the Specialist Schools and Academies Trust, is designed to encourage that sharing and stimulate a debate. Is what we're about to see ICT overkill, or is it a positive vision of the future?
It's really important to have a cross-section of people who are all supporters of education. On this particular tour we have guests from business, people from businesses associated with ICT, people from the Department for Education and Skills. We have governors of schools, heads of schools. And I think when you put that mix of people together talking about what education is really about when they see it live in schools, that is an unusual experience and not one that you can recreate in a conference.
A recent Bector survey found that though many teachers are reluctant to use ICT, seeing what others were doing with technology helped overcome that reluctance.
I still think there are some teachers who think this is going to go away and they won't have to embrace this. And, you know, all I would say is, you know, try the first small steps, work with some of your colleagues, look at what some of your colleagues are doing in your own schools and, you know, just try it because I think, you know, the future is here, just that not everybody's got there quite yet.
To see other schools working at the cutting edge of ICT is wonderful, and hopefully I can glean something from this trip, take it back to Lord Lawson of Beamish School in the northeast of England and hopefully gain some benefits from that.
It's not a matter of just providing everyone with the facilities and with the buildings to do this in, but they've got to be helped to learn how to use it. And I think that's why sort of an event such as this has been so good, because it is sharing the knowledge and expertise of how to work with ICT in new and different ways. And it's not just a demonstration of products, it's really looking at the pedagogy and how to do it.
The chosen schools have lined up a wide range of demonstrations to showcase their use of ICT.
Parswood, as you know, is a massive school, so we needed some way that we could try and reach out to a bigger community and try and get hold of as many students as we could. The way we did this was when every single student who was going to come here in Year 6 got a disc. And the disc, when they opened it, came up with this sort of page here. And what they could do was they could wander around the school. They could then open doors, they could wander down corridors, they could go into classrooms, they could visit a science classroom and so on.
Primary schools don't get as much technology as we do, so it gives them a taste of what they will get when they get here.
We're going to open up a new mission. Similar sort of idea where we're going to fill in some squares and look at the patterns and see if you can predict it, and then put the algebra in and see if you can show me why it always works.
Some ideas are immediately appealing to the visitors.
I am absolutely bowled over by the virtual learning environment. It's something that I think my particular school is lacking. We do have staff absenteeism, and to be able to spend the time that students would normally be just marking time, to spend that time more valuably would be absolutely superb. And I think what we've seen today at Parswood has been a superb model from which to follow. And if I take nothing else back from the 3 days that we're involved in this tour, I certainly will be looking at establishing some sort of VLE at school, because I think it would reap massive dividends in the long term.
But one of the really encouraging things that's come out of the tour for me is how the technology has helped collaboration, not only within the school but between school and other partners, and particularly where the technology has allowed them to extend the school into their feeder schools, into the community, into the parental homes, and I think that's one of the greatest opportunities.
The newest school on the tour is the £15 million Genogly City Academy in Nottingham, designed by Sir Norman Foster and opened in June 2005. It's been called one of the most futuristic schools in Europe and is the only city academy with an ICT specialism. Genogly will give the visitors a glimpse of a future where ICT is central to every aspect of school life, from gate control to cashless vending to a paperless classroom. The Academy has taken one controversial decision. At a time when interactive whiteboards are being rolled out across the country, this school decided to reject them in favour of tablet PCs and a completely wireless network.
When we looked at interactive whiteboards, we said, well, OK, this is providing us with readily available resources of high quality. It's motivating the students to learn. But is it actually fundamentally changing the way in which teaching and learning happens in the classroom? And the conclusion that we came to was that no, it wasn't, because the model was still the same old model that we've had for decades and decades, i.e. the teacher standing at the front of the class, delivering whole class teaching, as though the teacher were the font of all knowledge, and the students were the empty vessels waiting to be filled up with facts.
With a tablet PC, a teacher is free to work from anywhere in the classroom.
What we found is that we can drop the cost of the overall setup. So what we've got is a scenario where the cost of a tablet PC and a wireless projector is around about half the cost of the setup of an interactive whiteboard, for which you need a projector and a laptop computer.
Suddenly you have a very different way of teaching compared with standing at the front and working on an interactive whiteboard. It's very useful to be able to walk around with your tablet PC, stand next to the child who's perhaps not concentrating as much as they should be, or you can go and work with an individual child while still projecting the image and working on the image that you've got to the whole class. So whilst we knew we were taking a calculated risk, we were very clear about what the potential benefits were of introducing this use of technology.
What we've got is a system where you can simply move around any aspect of that classroom, and more uniquely, you can move around any area within that school and still interact with the same board. There is the opportunity also to interact with more than one board, so where there's a cover situation or where you've got a specialist teacher, you can send a signal out to up to 4 classrooms so that the students within those classes can benefit from what's going on in just one room.
Staff can project an entire class's screens onto one board, or select one student's work to show on screen. The system enables teachers to find out what's being taught in one subject and build on that in another. Every pupil has access to a tablet PC in school when they need one, and they're happy to show them off to visitors.
Yeah. There's 24 of these in a class. You can just go and get anyone, and then you can log on with your username and password, and it'll come up with all your work save over that you've done throughout school, basically. So it's really great.
Tablets allow the students to actually use what would be a normal laptop in the same way that they'd use an exercise book. So they're able to actually interact with it by using a digital pen. This gives them the opportunity to actually write with that tablet, so they're interacting with it in a more kinesthetic manner than simply using a keyboard. And it also allows each student to kind of go back to those traditional values in the schools to do with things like handwriting. So we're actually promoting the use of handwriting as opposed to discouraging it.
Genogly uses ICT to help pupils manage their own work better.
The students are able to use one single package which allows them to simply flip between different exercise books, and this allows the students to keep everything in one place, so they're not carrying around lots and lots of exercise books. Instead, they've got their single unit.
The students' work is saved automatically as they do it and named and filed for them, so they can find it easily.
Because there's a computer application, it allows you to do things like searches. So a student can find any one piece of work done on a specific date using just one single keyword, and it will go through and simply pick that page out. Now, if you imagine a student doing that with a rucksack full of exercise books, it'd be incredibly difficult.
The technology is also used to monitor the students' movements and performance.
They can tell when we're in the school, so we have a thing called Voice Connect, which is when you come in the morning and swipe your card, they know you're in the school, so and if you're not on the system, they send an instant text to your parents or they call them to ask why, and it stops a lot of truanting.
And also, I can see we have an e-behaviour monitoring system where we have events. And what we do with that is, if a student, has done some worthwhile, something really good, I can add an event about a student and say, this student's worked really well, or I'm really disappointed with this student in my class. They've done something that maybe they shouldn't be doing. And what it does is it actually shows me here if any of my tutees have had an event logged. So at the moment, my tutees, just move that out of the way a sec, have got totally 217 events, but none of them have been issued one today. So if on the front page I'm walking down the corridor and I see Lewis and he doesn't know where he's supposed to be, I can quickly go on to find student, I can locate him by first or surname, and quickly I've got his details. I can see where he's supposed to be, I can see his attendance, all that information straight in front of me.
The school has more than 50 wireless access points to make sure the system works.
So we can have up to 24 students accessing one single access point. Typically in schools, what they're doing is they're putting in 5 or 6 access points across the whole school. And that makes it incredibly difficult because you've got up to what could be between 20 and maybe 100 users trying to access one single point.
In order to encourage teachers into any kind of change, I think, the first thing you need to do is to help them understand how it benefits them in their teaching and benefits their students in terms of their learning and their progress. In order to do that, you need to find champions within your own school who are willing to take up the mantle and willing to run with the technology in order to demonstrate to others just what the power is in terms of the progress that the young people can make.
One person impressed by the wow factor at Ginogly is Minister of State for Education, Lord Adonis.
I have one dominating vision going around this school and seeing the phenomenal use of ICT, the tablet PCs in all of the classrooms. I mean, I'm told now that interactive whiteboards, what I thought were the big in thing, and now you've now made them all redundant. This is all yesterday's technology. It may be that 99% of the school system still has them, but you're well beyond that now. And I feel as if going around the school today, we are seeing the future of learning and how it will operate in a wireless world with the full integration of ICT into the curriculum and into the teaching process, and it does appear to work.
The design of a typical Foster's Central Street type design, but they did listen to us in terms of the brief of us wanting a light, airy, open building to help us with behaviour management.
Yeah. ICT is no substitute for teachers, it's no substitute for a properly ordered environment, it's no substitute for an inspirational vision for taking a school forward and for understanding what the potential of education can be. What makes this school so inspirational, in my view, is the way you bring the two together.